Okay, let's have a look at the problem. But before we start, we need to make sure that we understand the vocabulary use, integers and consecutive numbers. So integers are the whole numbers. They could be both positive and negative. Consecutive numbers are the one increasing by 1. Our first task is to find the sum of the first 100 consecutive numbers. Before we solve this problem, let's have a look at the slightly shorter problem to find the sum of the first 10 consecutive numbers. To do that, we could combine 1 and 10, then 2 and 9, then 3 and 8, 4 and 7, 5 and 6. What do we notice? Each pair always adds up to 11, and we have 5 of those pairs, so the answer is 55. Can we write it down differently? So where does 11 come from? So that's our first plus our last. And where does 5 come from? That's 10 divided by 2, which equals 55. Can we make a general rule? What would that be? So our first number plus our last number, and then multiply by n over 2. So let's go back to our problem. So what would that be in our case? So our first one is 1, our last one is 100, and then we multiply. How many do we have? 100 divided by 2, so that would equal to 5050. The next problem. Jenny adds positive integers between p and q and gets 206. What is p and q? We can translate the sentence into an equation. So p is our first number that we are adding. The next one is p plus 1, and then plus the one before last would be q minus 1 plus q equals 206. Previously, we have learned how to add consecutive numbers, so let's use the rule. So what do we have? Our first number, which is p, our last number, which is q, times. Now, how many numbers are between p and q, including p and q? You can do it by hand. For example, how many numbers are between 5 and 10, including 5 and 10? You will notice that that's 6. So what we have here is q minus p plus 1 over 2 equals 206. Let's simplify that equation a little bit by multiplying by 2. Then we will get p plus q times q minus p plus 1 equals 4 and 12. How can we solve that equation? Let's have a look at 412. So what is the prime factorization of 412? So once we do it, we can notice that 412 is actually 2 times 2 times 103, and 103 is a prime number, so that's pretty much all what we can do. So what we are looking for is two numbers. When they're multiplied, they should give us 2. So what are the choices we have? So we can say that, okay, p plus q can be 4, and q minus p plus 1 could be 103. Now, in the second one, when I move 1 on the opposite side, I would get q minus p equals 103. 2. So we are looking for two numbers that add up to 4, and their difference is 102. So what are the solutions? So we can find out that Q would be 53 and P would be minus 49, which is not good because we were looking for positive integers. So what if I change? What if I do P plus Q equals 103 and Q minus P plus 1 would be equal to 4. Once again, moving 1, I would get Q minus P equals 3. So the difference between two numbers is 3. So that means that the smaller of them must be 50. So P must be 50, and then Q would have been 53 then. As we can see, those numbers are both positive and integers, so the numbers that add up to 206 are 50 plus 51 plus 52 plus 53.